What is history? Now, to me, history should be just two friends walking down the street discussing the past, discussing what human beings have done over the course of time. But it's a bit more than that, so I'll get into some details. Look at some of the elements of history. What is history actually? And notice I have this word underlined in a certain way. So history has to do with historical facts. Okay, facts are things that happened in time. So I could say one fact would be Orville and Wilbur Wright, these two brothers, invented the first airplane. Historical fact. It's a big part of what we do as historians. We're trying to establish the facts and get facts, but just a list of facts is kind of boring. Like, this is why you hate history maybe, because you're like, I just memorized a lot of facts and it's really boring. So you want to organize the facts into a story, into a narrative. So a lot of history is narrative. It's a story of what happened in the past. So if I assemble the facts about the airplane into a story, it would go something like this: that with these two brothers, Orville and Wilbur, who were bicycle manufacturers, but they always had this dream they could fly someday, and they thought, for hundreds of years, thousands of years, people have wanted to fly like birds, but they can't. Maybe we could do this. So they use their knowledge of bicycle manufacturing and other discoveries in aerodynamics, and they begin to experiment building airplanes and flying machines. And soon they were successful. They flew the very first airplane, and history has not been the same since. That's a narrative. I turn it into a really quick story about the first flight. Another aspect of history, though, is study of causes. Causes. What happened in the past? Why did it happen? Like if an empire or a kingdom fell and collapsed, well, what caused that to happen? That's a major reason why historians do their work, because we know that things that have happened in the past are going to probably happen now too. And if we have a country or a kingdom, we're kind of like, well, we kind of like having our country. We don't want it to collapse. So if we look at what caused other collapses in the past, then it'll give us an idea of how to avoid that now. Looking at causes is really important. Or also even the causes of good things. So you might say, hey, this kingdom was really successful in the past. How do we duplicate that today? What caused them to be wealthy? Let's try to find those causes and do the same thing now. Another aspect of history is great deeds. What I call just things that happen that are really cool, that are worth talking about. Something like the invention of the airplane is really significant. I mean, where would we be without airplanes? The invention of the airplane has really shrunk the world. It's drastically influenced the way the world has gone since this invention. So when I talk about the history of Orville and Wilbur, these two guys, I don't talk about what their favorite food was. It's not that important. What's important is they invented the airplane, and ever since then, things have been really different. So those are some basic elements of history that I want you to know. Now, something connected with this is what we call the 3 C's of history. So as we're doing history, as we're constructing the facts and stories and trying to figure out the causes of what happened, and also just figuring out what's the significant things, what happened that's really important, there are 3 things to keep in mind. One is changes, how things change over time. So if we're looking at the airplane, clearly this airplane, Orville and Wilbur's airplane, changed over time, and now it's, they have flying things in space. Okay, that's a pretty big change. Another one would be comparisons. Just looking at the fact that they're different. So let's say this plane has propellers, this plane has a jet engine. I'm making a comparison. This plane's small, this plane is large. Comparison. The next C is connections. So looking at how all these airplanes are connected. So from the very first airplane, other guys said, hey, I can make a better airplane. Other guys said, hey, I can make a better airplane. On it goes until you get space shuttles and stealth bombers. Okay, so those are connections. You're saying how things are connected together and how they form new things and how they develop over time. That's a connection. So changes has to do with time. Comparisons is how things are different or the same. Connections are how they've influenced each other over time.